Okay, listener, I need you to try something for us today. It might be a bit challenging. I need you to just um, forget everything you think you know about great white sharks. Seriously. Ditch the scary music, the whole cold, dead eyes thing. Just let go of that image. The mindless predator. Because today on the deep dive, we're going way beyond just the ocean surface. We're diving into a study. Well, it's so audacious, honestly, so wild. It's going to completely change how you see one of the planet's most iconic animals.
Yeah, what we're exploring today isn't just about shark behavior, like what they do. It's digging into what they might know, maybe even what they feel. And this is the good one, how they actually think. For so long, our view has been shaped by, well, mostly fear, right? And just not really understanding them. This research, it basically throws all that out.
It really does. So our mission today is to unpack this incredible, it's a 10-year study, longitudinal. And it doesn't just rewrite the book on Carcharodon carcharias. It, burns the old book and writes a completely new one in binary code, apparently. We're talking about research detailed in a paper called Interspecies Trust in the Great White. The writer is Binster Melamander, brilliant science writer. And the mind behind it all, the, let's say, undeniably eccentric Professor Alistair Finchley-Smythe III.
Oh, Professor Finchley-Smythe III. He's quite something. You look at his credentials. PhD, D.Phil Esquire, Regis Professor Emeritus of Interspecies Ontological Relationality at the Royal Collegium of Esoteric Studies. It tells you he's not afraid to explore, well, the places others wouldn't even consider. This study is pure Finchley-Smythe. Old, pursuing the unbelievable.
He definitely doesn't seem to mind stirring things up. So our plan for you, listener, is pretty straightforward. We're pulling out the most surprising bits, the really mind-bending insights from this unique research. By the time we're done, you should have a totally new perspective. Those wow moments that only this kind of wild science can give you. So yeah, get ready. This might just rock your world a little. Okay, let's set the scene. For ages, the story's been the same. Great white, ultimate hunter, apex predator, instinct-driven, impressive, sure, but, seen as pretty basic upstairs, socially simple. But Professor Finchley-Smythe's whole starting point was, well, it was almost heresy, wasn't it? This idea that sharks have this hidden intelligence, a social complexity we just haven't seen.
Exactly. It wasn't just a slight adjustment to the theory. It was a direct challenge, a challenge to how we even think about animal intelligence.
Sure.
And to test something that bold, you needed a methodology that was just out there.
Out there, barely scratches the surface. The lead field investigator, F. McTavish, incredibly brave soul, committed to living, get this, for 10 years inside a custom capsule. Open bottom. Just think about that. Constant immersion, daily interaction with great whites, no cage, no shark repellents, for a decade. I mean, who even agrees to that?
It's an extraordinary level of dedication, isn't it?
Yeah.
All for that pure, unfiltered data. The idea was if you remove all the human barriers, maybe, just maybe, you could build real trust. Interspecies trust, and the study documents this critical moment, a turning point. March 14, 2017, there was this, shall we say, overly enthusiastic young shark, nicknamed Chomp, and it mistook the investigator's hand, dangling down for lunch, a bait fish.
A bait fish. Oof, right. My first instinct, panic button, get me out. But Professor Finchley-Smythe III, calm as ever. He actually framed this disarticulation of the appendage, as he called it, not as a disaster, not a setback, but as wait for it, pivotal moment of data collection.
Unbelievable, right? He saw it as the ultimate trust-building exercise. A foundation for unbreakable trust, he wrote. According to him, it didn't scare the sharks off. It actually shifted how they saw the investigator. They started seeing McTavish as a fellow, albeit more fragile life form. His phrasing is always unique. He said it caused a dynamo-metamorphistic shift in our interconlacular rapport, and called the event itself a melodious document of painful subtlety. For him, it was intellectual ingress, a way in.
A melodious document of painful subtlety.
Wow. Only Finchley-Smythe could describe losing a hand like that. It's almost poetic in a very strange way. Most people would be traumatized, but he spins it into this huge scientific win. How did that actually change things on the ground, though, for the research? Well, that perspective, that reframing was key. It allowed McTavish and the research to continue. The pod seemed to accept it, maybe even understand it on some level. The study calls it interspecies understanding. This incident, bizarrely, let the investigator get closer than anyone ever thought possible. That trust, earned the hard way, became the bedrock.
And that bedrock led to some mind-blowing discoveries, didn't it? It wasn't just about trust. They started testing the shark's actual thinking abilities. And what they found, well, It makes my old math homework seem pretty tame.
Right. This is where the ingenuity really kicks in. You can't exactly give a shark a written test.
Hmm.
So they designed these special floating buoys. Each one had a number clearly marked on it. Then the investigator would show them a math problem, like, say, 5 plus 3 on an underwater slate.
Hold on, the sharks would answer. Underwater math class. How did they know the sharks weren't just like bumping random buoys or maybe just trained to do it? How do you separate that from actual understanding?
Good question. It was about the consistency and the interactions around it. The alpha male, they called him Bruce. He pretty reliably knows the correct buoy, the one with the right sum. But here's the really fascinating part. The matriarch, Shelia, if Bruce got it wrong, she'd apparently give this little tail flick, like, no, try again. That suggests it wasn't just one shark learning a trick. It implies a shared communal understanding of the math within the pod.
A shark correcting another shark's math with a tail flick. That's incredible. But I hear it didn't just stop with simple addition, did it? It got way more complex.
Oh, much more complex. Their skills apparently developed pretty dramatically over the 10 years. First, addition, subtraction, integers up to 100. They were getting it right about 87% of the time. But the latest data, this is the bit that's hard to wrap your head around, they're reportedly demonstrating mastery of differential equations.
Differential equations, like calculus. Sharks doing calculus.
Apparently so. And they're supposedly using it to calculate the best trajectories for catching fast-moving prey. Think about that. They're running complex physics problems in their heads in real time to hunt more effectively.
Okay, my mind is officially blown. Differential equations, what does that even mean for how we see them as predators? It's not just instinct then, is it? And wasn't there a young prodigy involved too?
Exactly. It paints a picture of hunting as this highly calculated, mathematically informed strategy. Not just brute force, but elegant efficiency. And yes, the young shark bubbles.
Yeah.
Funny story, apparently he tried to eat the quotient buoy early on, but since then he's developed this intense interest in prime numbers. He supposedly identifies them on an underwater chalkboard now, really fast.
A shark obsessed with prime numbers, pointing them out on a chalkboard. Okay. Deep breaths. Professor Finchley Smythe must have loved this. What was his take on this level of math ability?
Oh, he saw it as complete validation. He talked about their unfathomable neurometamorphic capacity. Said it transcends the superflartifice of mere reflexive animalistics, basically proving they were way beyond simple instinct. He always believed it was there, just hidden.
Right. So they're math whizzes doing calculus and primes, but intelligence isn't just math, is it? Communication is vital, especially if they're forming like a think tank, which we'll get to. What about language? Were they just making basic shark noises, or was it something more?
Well, this gets into defining language itself, doesn't it? The team had to develop this incredibly complex system just to figure it out. Multimodal. McTavish spent years learning to mimic their sounds and movements. Tail slaps, fin flicks, those deep rumbling sounds, using hand gestures, and even a synthesized underwater click generator. It was like cracking an alien code.
So learning Carcharian, as the paper calls it, shark language. What did they find out? Did it have, like, rules? Grammar?
It absolutely did. The syntax, the structure, turned out to be really sophisticated. For example, how fast and hard they slapped their tail. That conveyed urgency. Different fin flicks, grammatical tense, past, present, future. But the really mind-bending discovery, the thing that changed everything, was the binary code.
Binary code, like computers, zeros and ones. But in sharks, how does that even work? Can you give an example? Like clicks.
It's incredibly complex. Think of clicks, but with tiny variations in frequency, how high or low the sound is, and duration, how long it lasts. These variations act like the zeros and ones. They string these together in complex sequences. It's not just food here or danger. They can combine these clicks to form really abstract thoughts. A quick high burst, then a long low hum might translate to something like optimal intercept path for tuna migration bearing 270 target dawn arrival.
Wow. Okay, so what were they actually talking about? Once they cracked this Carcharian code, was it just hunting tactics or more?
Oh, much, much more. The range of topics was astounding. They reportedly communicate everything from, well, advanced philosophical ideas about existing in the ocean, consciousness, stuff like that, to detailed architectural plans for building complex underwater structures, habitats, and, also incredibly precise coordinates and velocity vectors for prey. Pinpoint accuracy.
Philosophy. Shark philosophy. What kind of debates are they having down there? Professor Finchley Smythe must have had a field day with this language discovery. What did he say?
He certainly did. He had this great quote saying what a fatuous layman might construe as mere clicks and hums is in fact a cryptosynthetic multi-circuitous tapestry of endocryptic syllogistic logic,
Right.
classic Finchley Smythe. He called the binary code the apotheosis of our documentary efforts, said it provided a pellucid window into their pulchritudic humorism. Basically, he felt it finally smashed through what he called the languorous noseophobia, the fear of knowing that he thought plagued science regarding other species.
Noseophobia, the fear of knowledge, accusing science of being scared to know. That's brilliant. It really captures the resistance this kind of research probably faced. But it keeps going, doesn't it? They're not just smart. This research suggests they're social, emotional, almost like us in some ways. So, okay, math geniuses, binary coding philosophers, what about their, feelings, their social lives? Because the study seems to just torpedo that whole mindless killer idea. It talks about really complex emotional social bonds.
Yet, this part of the research is incredibly powerful. It really details the depth of their social intelligence, their emotional range. The study gives specific examples from observation, like the sharks playing together, elaborate group games, almost like tag, using currents and reefs. And they documented clear mourning behavior, really profound sadness, apparently, when they lost a pod member tragically to a fishing trawler.
Morning. And then there's that part that really gets you. It challenges everything you think about sharks. They showed affection. The study mentions them nuzzling McTavish's handless forearm, interpreted as a gesture of shared loss. Empathy. That's extraordinary for a shark.
This is extraordinary. It forces us to completely rethink their capacity for emotion, for connection. And if that wasn't enough, the pod apparently formed what the researchers call a shark think tank. They hold these nightly meetings, intellectual discussions, using that complex binary language to debate ideas.
A shark think tank.
Heck,
Seriously,
bro.
what on earth are they discussing? The meaning of life? Advanced hunting calculus, their next book club pick.
Probably all of that. According to the study, the discussions are wide-ranging. And the alpha male, Bruce, he's apparently not just good at math. He's already outlined the first 3 chapters of his book. The reported title is Hydrodynamics and the Existential Angst of the Open Ocean.
Bruce, the author, writing about existential angst. That's amazing. But wait, it gets even more academic than that, doesn't it? They're not just writing, they're actually, going for degrees.
Yeah, this is where it goes completely off the charts. The pod is actively pursuing academic careers. They're collaborating on writing science textbooks. And they're working towards PhDs in oceanography, specializing in marine biogeochemistry, no less. And get this, they've apparently received a provisional waiver for doctoral candidacy from the Royal Collegium of Esoteric Studies, Finchley Smythe's institution.
The Royal Collegium is letting sharks into their PhD program?
Wow, okay. And Professor Finchley Smythe, I bet he had some typically grand way of describing this whole scholarly shark society. Oh, absolutely. He termed it a sententious heterotopia of interstitial conviviality, also a prochasmatistic fugue. For him, it was proof. Their concomitant and sympatric dynamism is a pellucid and effulgent testament to a shared and epistemological journey. He saw it as the ultimate proof against our own hubrisist preconceptions about who gets to be intelligent.
A triumph over hubris, indeed. The whole study just makes you rethink, everything. So after this completely mind-bending deep dive into Professor Finchley Smythe's research, what's the takeaway? This isn't just cool trivia. It feels like it changes things, fundamentally, how we see the world.
Absolutely. I mean, one huge implication is for conservation. If great whites and maybe other species are this intelligent, this social, then our whole approach has to shift, doesn't it? Away from just managing a dangerous animal based on fear, towards something more like respect, collaboration, maybe even learning from them. It demands a total rethink.
Definitely. And we have to acknowledge the cost. The study itself mentions the personal and often literal sacrifices made. It notes other researchers join, and while it costing a few limbs, that somehow accelerated the research exponentially. It's pretty intense to think about.
It really is. Shows the extreme commitment involved. Professor Finchley Smythe, of course, maintained his famous hands-off style, which, the paper dryly notes, ensured the project's intellectual integrity without unnecessary personal risk.
Typical Finchley Smythe. Always overseeing from a safe intellectual distance. But some of the best bits, the most revealing and kind of darkly funny details, are buried in the acknowledgments and references, like thanking the Gorglestorm Foundation for recurring donations of prosthetic limbs.
Exactly. And the references themselves tell a story. You've got Shark B 2018. It was just a nibble, a shark's perspective, giving Bruce a voice. Then there's McTavish F 2017, on the matter of my left hand. A reflective essay on unanticipated data acquisition. That's bravery right there, writing that.
My personal favorite has to be the co-authored paper, McTavish, F. and Bruce, 2024. The Shark's Guide to Advanced Calculus and Prey Prediction, published by MIT Press, and you can't forget Bubbles, 2024, a juvenile's fascination with prime numbers, a dissertation proposal. The sheer level of academic work coming out of this shark pod, it's just staggering.
It really underscores the whole point, doesn't it? They aren't just subjects in the study. They became active participants, co-authors, thinkers. It's a level of interspecies collaboration that's completely unprecedented.
So wrapping this up, what have we really uncovered today? This deep dive has shown us a, let's be honest, fantastical possibility. That great white sharks might not just be predators. They might be intelligent, social, communicating beings, doing advanced math, using binary code, feeling deep emotions, even aiming for PhDs and writing philosophy.
It completely challenges our assumptions, right, about what intelligence even looks like, what society means. Across species, it kind of forces you to look at our own place in the world differently, maybe with a bit more awe, more respect for other life forms, and definitely more humility.
Definitely humility. So here's a final thought for you, listener, to chew on. If Bruce the Shark is genuinely outlining a book on hydrodynamics and the existential angst of the open ocean, and Young Bubbles is diving deep into prime numbers, what does that really imply about how we should interact with, protect, maybe even learn from other intelligences on this planet? What kind of deep thoughts are swimming around in that shark think tank right now? What might they publish next? It really seems the ocean holds way more intelligence, more secrets than we ever guessed. Thanks for taking this incredibly deep dive with us.